Hello, beautiful souls. I am here today to speak on the collective wound, and I've been guided to share these thoughts with you from what I've seen in my experience as a trauma-informed healer. And I know that you've probably found out about the tragic murder in Texas of 19 children and 2 adults. And I also want to hold space that this happens on a daily basis around the world. There are families that go through complete devastation in an instant and have their lives changed and the rest of their human journeys altered because of this. And lives are cut too short in very tragic circumstances. So I want to hold this candle and this light for this moment right now for all of those that have suffered at the hands of anger and hate and fear in this culture and in this world. And I just wanted to come on and share some even analogies with you, and maybe we can get a little bit of a higher vantage point, more of an objective view above the polarization that seems to always follow something that happens like this. And what came to me yesterday is that when we've been conditioned, especially in an institutional-based linear system that has worked to disempower us, maybe not even on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, where we've continued to give our power away to these systems and we look to them to make change, we negate the absolute majesty and the creation energy that we have when we're in our sovereignty, when we're in our alignment, and when we're in our full empowerment. And not only that, but in this culture, we have learned sacrifice, hustle and grind. We've learned to ignore our body's messages, our intuition, in order to control our circumstances and to play out what we don't want to happen based on past experience and fear of that. And so when we learn to continue to ignore our pain, this happens for us on a personal level, but we're so powerful that as a collective, it emanates out into the collective. And then we ignore the larger messages that we continue to get until they get to the point of no return. And that's what we do with our own selves. I mean, think about it right now. How often have you woken up with a pain or something like that, and you don't do anything about it until it gets to the point where you absolutely cannot stand it anymore? So we're a culture of reaction instead of prevention. And so, when we live in the space of such extreme polarity and duality, instead of honoring the polarity and coming into unity consciousness in a way for the greater good, then Jesus is here with us. The animals always come for these messages. We stay in the mentality of I'm right, you're wrong. And then that is very based in the unhealthy ego. And that's where we can't actually get that higher vantage point to really see what's happening. So when something happens like this and then we cry out for policy change, we continue to put all of our power into those systems, right? It can be the medical system, the educational system, the government system, the financial system, and we forget how empowered we are. And when we're in our alignment, right? When we feel, and this is, I want to explain this in a way that's really eloquent, because if you were feeling heavy yesterday, I absolutely was. And I'm sure it's because you were feeling the pain rippling through an entire community as well as country, if not world. And that is the energy that we emanate together. And so that is the time that you go deeply into your light. Because if you stay plugged in, we have become so disconnected with our media, right? Not only with the last couple of years, and then we've been very connected to the media, that keeps us in that pain loop and that scarcity mentality, and even in the sensationalism, of what can we do? We feel incapacitated because we're just looking for one system to make change for this. And so I implore you at this time, when there are many people in their darkest hours and their darkest of nights, to do your work, to get deeply, deeply into your alignment and into your higher consciousness, where you can share the light and the love frequency that you are creating and emanating, the photonic light that comes out of your heart and into the world. You're sharing that and lifting those people up so that they can make it through another day, so that they can, get to the point where they are living again after and through the deep, deep, unimaginable pain that they're in right now. And so I want to give this analogy so that maybe it was a huge aha moment and enlightenment moment for me when many years ago I was getting a big tattoo piece. It was like 16 hours. So I spent a lot of time with that one tattoo artist, and we were exchanging about our personal lives and our work lives. And about halfway through, it dawned on me that in my business and in my offerings, my divine calling as a trauma-informed healing artist, my training is to care very deeply about people's pain. Like, not only that, but I came in as a spiritual and energetic soul that cares about all of life around me to my core. And so it's in my imprint as well. And for her job, her training, and her job was to ignore people's pain, because that was part of the process. And so she ignored people's pain in order to finish the job. And this is what we can see on a personal level, but we see it on the bigger scale as well. When we just look to fix the symptoms, when we're not getting to the root, then we're putting a band-aid on the symptoms. And that's what our institutional based medical system, especially our pharmaceutically and Western medical system, is based on, where it gets to the point where we feel like it's at the point of no return, or we've hit rock bottom, because the symptom, our body, our intuition has been sending us the signal and message for quite a while, and we have conditioned ourselves to ignore it in order to live, to survive in these cultures. And then it festers in such a way that we're desperate for the band-aid or to make it better. So then we take the pill, and then we grow another root because we never get to the root, right? And so then we continue to get more offshoots in the roots, and the roots continue to fester until they become overgrown and it's out of control, right? I don't even like to use the word control, but it's overwhelming. And so we can look at so many of these tragedies, especially in this country. But like I said, all countries have violence going on. I mean, there's war going on right now, right? But we look in this country at these tragedies, and every one was a signal. It was a message. And then we feel incapacitated because we're looking to one system to change this for us, while we're plugged into the media and the TVs, and we're not in the present moment and in our ability to raise the consciousness, because we're so heartbroken because we're continuing to get the messages from the TV and the media, and we're following it because we care. But what we don't realize is that it's thwarting our ability to be in that fluid space, that creation energy space, where we come up with miraculous solutions and ideas as communities. And so, as we look at how do we excavate the root instead of continue to empower systems that keep us in polarization, let's look at pulling back into our communities, into ourselves, and continuing our alignment practice, continuing, creating more faith and love in this world, because there's studies that have shown what that does, what prayer does. I think it was maybe at a Buddhist temple showing, some kind of measurement of what happened when so many people got together and prayed, right? So however that looks for you, get back into nature. That is your first alignment practice, because that is you. Nature is you. And when we're so disconnected from our root and our source, it's very easy to get imbalanced and off track and get into the mentality of I'm right, you're wrong, and stay in that ego that the media continues to perpetuate for us. It's meditating, it's reaching out in your community, it's saying something when you see something, right? It's saying something. Sometimes we don't even want to say something because we feel like we're overstepping. And the more years I gain on this earth and in this human body, the more I realize it's the intent of what you say, how you say something. When you say something from pure care and pure humanity in your heart, and when you don't make it about someone else, it is received in a whole new way. But we've been in such a sacrificial and defensive place with our egos for so long that can almost be hard to access. And so I encourage you. I sat with this morning. I think the hardest part of being an intuitive medium is when people, get upset with you, or, they get annoyed with you or frustrated with you, and they don't share. They don't actually share their truth with you, but what's happening. And for me, that is actually the most difficult place to be in, because I know all of the energy that's happening all the time, because I'm extremely tapped into it. And so I thought this morning, how can I change this? And so I've decided that when I feel that energy, it's time for me to start speaking up, instead of just waiting for someone else to share what they're feeling with me. When I know what they're feeling with me, when I can feel it as well, it's time for me to plant that seed, to start that exchange, so that we can, even if it's hard, even if, it's hard to bring those feelings up, that shadow, to really look at the shadow, it's so much more rich. And that's getting to the root. Instead of never addressing it and just waiting for the energy to change, then that can continue to fester. Our bodies hold all of our memories. Everything that we feel and experience goes into our bodies. And if we don't ever express what's in our body, it will be repressed. And that, I feel like, as our collective wound continues to get unearthed from the Scorpio South Node, especially right now, my hope is that we can start to reframe and transform and really look at, on a personal level, how can we stop ignoring the signals and messages that come through in our body and be wildly present, be profoundly transparent, and speak our truth and our sovereignty from our place of love and humanity, not from a place of defensiveness or unhealthy ego. So I guess really the message here is, as a collective, we continue to get the signals and messages, the symptoms continue to scream at us. And when we continue to react in the exact same way every time and nothing changes, that's showing that we've been disempowered with that reaction. And then we don't produce miracles, which we are made to do. We are made to be wildly majestic with each other and share energy and vibration and frequency. And I guess, I know I've said it twice, but I'm gonna say it one more time. I know you felt that. I know your heart felt the collective pain yesterday. So imagine what can happen when we collectively, on that scale, on that level, come together and continue to drop into our faith, our love frequency, our alignment, and our higher consciousness, our nature, our true self and our innate self, and we continue to connect with each other instead of hiding behind a screen. And really, and if we're on a screen and sharing something that's coming from a place of fear or anger or hate, we continue to look at that within ourselves, use reflective wisdom, and we reach out to the people that may be sharing that vibration from a place of humanity. We get more local, we get more into our communities, because if every community as a pod, as an acupuncture point of this world, gets higher vibrations together, then we all can lift each other up in a way where we can come up with, we come up with solutions that feel empowering within ourselves. And when we feel empowered, we get so much more creative. The messages come in so much more powerfully that our linear thinking mind or our conditioned mind would have never went to, out of scarcity or competition or comparison or lack. So I hope this message resonated with you in some way. I hope it sparked something in your cells as we move through the pain and the underbelly of really where we have gotten to as a collective. But at any point, we absolutely have the power to change it as individuals, as sovereign, light-bodied and light-encoded individuals. And that is really, I believe, what it's going to take. Peace and love. Oh.